Okay, let's dive into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to unpack the art, and honestly, the very real skill of true wealth building. If you're like most of us, you've probably spent some time wondering about the actual secret to financial freedom. You've heard a million different theories, right? And it gets super overwhelming with all the conflicting advice out there. But today, we're cutting through that noise. We're looking at a definitive roadmap drawn from some incredibly grounded source material, distilling the wisdom of a guy who literally walked the path from absolute zero to the absolute top.
So I want to kick things off by asking you a very direct question. What is the easiest way to become rich in the world? Is it, starting a business, grabbing a high-paying corporate job, the stock market, real estate, maybe making money online? There are literally thousands of debates circling around this exact question every single day. But what if I told you there's one man who effectively ended those debates? Someone who rose from absolute poverty, devoured over 1,000 finance books, invested in more than 200 companies, and completely mastered the game of wealth generation.
That man is the famous self-made millionaire Naval Ravikant, and he makes this absolutely fascinating guarantee. He says, even if you took all my money and dropped me in an English-speaking country, I'd be rich again in 5 to 10 years. Just let that level of confidence sink in for a second. He's not relying on luck, and he's definitely not relying on his current bank account. He is relying on a proven method. He guarantees that making money is a skill. It's an art form. You don't need 1,000 different approaches. You literally just need to choose and follow one proven path. He is the ultimate proof of concept.
Section 1. Who is Naval Ravikant? From the slums of Delhi to Silicon Valley royalty.
Before we map out his exact methods, we really need to understand the man behind the roadmap, because his story proves that your starting point absolutely does not dictate your destination. He was born in a Delhi slum in 1976 with only his mother's support. But Naval used that intense hardship to study relentlessly. He read thousands of finance books, searching desperately for a real route out. And man, look at what that relentless search actually produced. By the time he was just 25, he founded a company called Epinions and became its CEO. At 27, he was a venture partner at August Capital. At 29, he founded Vast.com. By 34, he launched the massive platform AngelList. He went on to invest in nearly 200 companies, including early stakes in giants like Uber. And by 43, he was named Angel Investor of the Year. He transformed a life of total uncertainty into just incredible success.
Section 2. The Rat Race Trap. Why a traditional job keeps you stuck.
And this brilliantly illustrates why so many people get trapped. You see, a lot of young people spend the prime of their educational years, right up until age 30, chasing what society calls a good job. But Naval discovered a really difficult truth if you want to follow in his footsteps. A traditional job is practically designed to keep you stuck in a poor or middle-class life. The wealthy people you admire, they didn't get there by trading their time for a fixed hourly wage. Look at the numbers from this real-world example in Bangladesh. A garment factory job might pay between 15,000 and 20,000 taka a month after incredibly long, grueling hours. But where does that money actually go? Half of it vanishes instantly, just covering basic rent and medical expenses. Even a highly sought-after government job paying 20,000 to 30,000 taka sees that income entirely devoured by private medical tests, children's education, and basic living costs. It's like you're constantly bailing water out of a leaky boat, never actually moving forward.
So, the absolutely crucial point here is this. We have to change our entire framework. Wealth is not a lottery. You don't just get lucky. Think of wealth generation like walking from one city to another. If you don't know the route, you're stopping, asking for directions, getting lost, getting discouraged, and you might just give up and turn back. But if you have a map, if you know the exact route, you just put your head down, follow the path, and you reach your destination quickly. Once you know the road to success, literally nothing can stop you.
Section 3. Route 1. Entrepreneurship. Building wealth from the ground up.
Naval identified a few distinct paths to break out of this maze. He says, hey, if you have savings, fantastic. But if you don't, your very first mission is to save money. And he outlines 4 clear steps to get started. Step 1, save capital through any honest work. Seriously, do not be ashamed of whatever honest job you have to do to build that initial seed money. Step 2, study your field thoroughly. You got to understand the market demand, the customer types, the exact costs, and the profit potential. Step 3, get training to improve your selling skills so you don't just throw in the towel halfway through when things get tough. And finally, Step 4, take that capital and start the business no matter how small it is.
Now, I know what some of you are thinking. That sounds incredibly risky. And honestly, you're not wrong to feel that way. Research actually shows that 60% of people with limited income are absolutely terrified to risk their hard-earned savings to start a business. Why? Because they fear losing it all. And looking at this dynamic, that fear makes total sense. In the environment we're analyzing, about 90% of new startups fail. Only 10% succeed. That is a daunting statistic for sure. But Naval says if you do succeed and generate profit, that's amazing. But what if you belong to that group that is just too afraid to risk everything on a startup?
Section 4. Route 2. Safe investments. The power of holding real estate and gold. Let's move to this and see how this builds a much safer foundation.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that if you want to avoid the high-wire act of entrepreneurship, Naval suggests splitting your money into historically secure places. Take real estate, for example. The source material shares a wild story of a family that sold a small, 5% piece of their land for 500,000 taka. Just 4 years later, that exact same piece of land sold for 2 million taka. That is a massive 4x increase, a fourfold jump in just 4 years. The new owner made a $1.5 million profit purely by holding on to the land. I mean, think about how massive of a business operation you would need to run to generate that kind of pure profit in 4 years.
And the exact same compounding effect happens with gold. We can see a substantial jump from a past price of 35,000 taka per tola all the way up to a staggering 95,000 taka per tola today. This perfectly illustrates that by dividing your money into safe, tangible investments, you can compound significant wealth without ever having to manage a team, run a company, or worry about that scary 90% failure rate. It's a slower, but incredibly reliable route on the map to financial freedom.
Section 5. Becoming the hero. Changing your fortune today. So, we've seen the map. We know the trap of the rat race, the high-reward path of entrepreneurship, and the steady compounding of safe investments. Now, it's really about you stepping into the protagonist role. Naval reminds us to use our intelligence, the profound wisdom granted by Allah, to recognize the right path and actually walk it. Don't waste another second regretting your current situation. Instead, draw inspiration from this incredible quote by Napoleon, who used to motivate himself during the darkest times by saying, "A real hero is one who can change his bad fortune." Be proud that you have the opportunity to completely rewrite your story. You have the chance to be a real hero. And honestly, that's something that people who are just born with a silver spoon will never actually get to experience.
You have the map now. You know that wealth is a skill. It's a skill you can learn, and more importantly, it's one you can apply starting right now. So I want to leave you with one final thought to reflect on as we wrap up this explainer. What is the very first step you will take today to change your fortune? Will you start saving your seed capital? Will you start studying a new market? Or will you look into your first safe investment? The route is clearly laid out. Now, it's time to take that first step.